Hello, fellow risk takers, and welcome to my worst investment ever. Stories of loss to keep you winning. In our community, we know that to win in investing, you must take risks, but to win big, you've got to reduce it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on a mission to help 1 million people reduce risk in their lives. And that mission has led me to create the Become a Better Investor community, where you get access to tools you need to create, grow, and protect your wealth. Go to myworstinvestmentever.com right now to claim your spot. Fellow risk takers, this is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stotz from A Stotz Academy, and I'm here with featured guest Ridhi Bahl. Ridhi, are you ready to join the mission?
Absolutely, Andrews. I'm all set and ready to join the mission.
I think that your mission is helping a lot of people too. So I'm glad to learn more about you. And I want to introduce you to the audience. So Ridhi is considered one of the top-notch astrologers in India, one who has done her Ph.D. in Astrology and Vastu. Her numerous years of experience and research in various branches of astrology have given her a professional edge in predictive astrology, mundane astrology, and medical astrology. With intensive research in Vastu for over 2 decades, Ridhi has, to her credit, more than 5,000 case studies of successful Vastu amendments, including commercial, industrial, and residential projects. To add to her skills, she provides Vastu solutions without making structural changes. Ridhi, take a moment and tell us a bit about the unique value that you are bringing to this wonderful world.
Unique value that I'm bringing to this wonderful world, as you said rightly when you were introducing me, Andrew, is helping people. Because people approach me and, with my study, I've studied astrology, which is a guiding science. Life is all about taking the right decisions at the right time. Like you're talking about the one worst investment. So how did that one worst investment happen? Because we could not take the right decision at that time. So that is what led to the worst decision or the worst investment. So here astrology, which is a guiding science, can really help you in deciding or in making the right decisions at the right time. So I think this is one value, one thing that I can help the world or the young generation or anybody, as a matter of fact, with.
And tell me about, like, when someone wants to reach out to you to help them, what type of problems are they facing, or what types of challenges are they facing? And then, how does it work with you? I have to admit, I don't know much about astrology, and I suspect that that a good portion of my listeners may not know. So I really would love to just get a rundown on it.
Okay, so just giving you a little brief of it. So what I do is the Indian Vedic astrology, which started somewhere more than 5,000 years back. And it has been surviving since then, and it has a lot of followers and a lot of takers. So for astrology, we cast a chart, which we call as a horoscope or kundali. For that, three things are required: a person's date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. Through these information, we cast a horoscope, and the astrology is the study of that horoscope only. So with the horoscope, I can guide you or anybody about their life path, what is the objective of their life, what are the challenges that they're facing in their life, and when will these challenges end, and how can they overcome these challenges, because that is very important. Because in life, if you're living, you ought to face challenges.
We got a lot of challenges, that's for sure.
Yeah.
This year, in this world right now. You used a word that I wasn't exactly sure how to interpret it. You said cast or casting in astrology. And what does it mean when you say casting in astrology? Also keep in mind, when I think of astrology, I think I was born on July 31st, 1965, and I'm a Leo. That's what I think of when I think of astrology, but tell me more.
Okay. So, astrology in different parts of the world is followed in different ways, right? So that's what I said, that I follow the Indian Vedic astrology. What you're talking about, like you said, you're born on a particular date and month, and you fall in a particular sun sign. That is the Western astrology. So
Mm.
Western astrology, they categorize you on the basis of your date of birth, certainly, and the month of birth. So people born, say, between 24th September to 24th October, they all will be Librans, right? Whereas in Indian Vedic astrology, it is very precise. It is precise to the time, birth time in seconds. Like twins born at the same time, to the same parents, to the same in the same city, they also have different horoscopes or different destinies. So Indian Vedic astrology gets into the depth of it. Right now, when you said what about casting a horoscope, horoscope is, it's a pictorial presentation of the planets, placement of planets when you were born.
Mm. That's what I
So
was gonna.
that
That was gonna be my next question. It's like, what's the guiding force? Like, I know in China they talk a lot about energy and qi,
correct,
and
yeah.
but the guiding force is in this is planetary alignment, or what would you say is the guiding force?
Yes, it is certainly the planetary alignment that at the time of your birth, and like I said, place of birth, so at that particular place, at that particular time when you were born, how were the planets placed? Because that will be further guiding your life path.
So I have to speak out to the audience for a moment, and there's a listener out there that I need some help with, and for this because what I don't recall is the time of my birth. I can barely remember my birth, but anyways. But the time of my birth, Mom, what was the time of my birth? Okay, she'll answer that later. And we'll get that answer because Mom's my number one listener, my number one fan. So she's listening to this. She and I will have a discussion about that.
I'm sure.
So I've got a lot more to learn about that, but I also want to learn a little bit about your worst investment ever. So now it's time to share your worst investment ever, and since no one goes into their worst investment thinking it will be, tell us a bit about the circumstances leading up to it, and then tell us your story.
Okay, so Andrew, since I was a small child, maybe I was not even stepped in my teens, I've had certain health conditions. So, but there was nothing alarming or it was nothing life-threatening. But then, yes, certainly there were, certain health conditions which led me to, having regular tests, regular medical checkups, visiting the doctors on a regular basis, leading me to a situation where at times day-to-day activities would be a challenge to me, right? So, and one led to another. So this was going along. This was while I was a student. I was still in school. Then I graduated. I did my master's in management, that is MBA. And then I started working at a corporate, like any other young, person in her 20s, full of dreams, full of aspirations. Although side by side, the health aspect was also going on, and astrology was always there at the back of her mind, but it was as a fascination, as a young fascinating person, that has a fascination for astrology to know the future. So all these things are simultaneously going by, and I was under the impression that I've made the right decisions for myself by doing an MBA, by getting the right job. But no, there was somewhere some miss, some disconnect somewhere happening. I was maybe I was paid very well. It was a very good organization I was working for. A picture perfect from outside, but from within it was not. As I said, there was some disconnect. There was some unhappiness. There was something which was not the way I wanted it to happen. But I was doing it because everybody else around me thought, "Oh, this is perfect. This is the
Mm.
way one imagines his or her life to be." So go on. Okay, so then, I was, I think, 28 years of age, and I was blessed with a son, and I was detected with an ovarian tumor. And this was kind of life-changing incident that happened to me. So as I said, there were health conditions earlier, but they were not that dangerous or that serious what this was. Fortunately, my tumor was not malignant. But
Mm.
then, yes, it really took a bad toll on my health, to the extent that getting up from the bed was also a challenge. And obviously I had to leave my job, and I thought, oh, my life has come to a standstill. Nothing is going to move. Life is going to be always like this. And then from somewhere I gathered the courage, and I had a lot of questions. Why did this happen to me? With most of the youngsters who come to me now, ask, why did this happen to me? Why do I have to suffer? Why do I have to face this? And even I was going through the same phase, and I had a lot of whys, and nobody was able to give an answer to my all those whys. And that is where I thought, I got into astrology, I studied, and I got the answers of all the whys. And that is how I'm helping now people get the answers of all the whys. Now, if you ask me, the best investment, or what is one thing, my takeaway, or what I have learned about from this whole thing in my life, is, for me, health is the biggest and the best investment. Believe me, people, it is your health which is more important than wealth. Health is eventually, because you have to live with yourself. You cannot enjoy the amount of wealth you've earned if you don't have the good health.
I think that's a clear lesson, and maybe I'll mention some things that I take away from that. The first thing is, for those people that are struggling in their lives right now, and they are trying to do the right thing, do the thing that their family says is the good thing or something. If you're pushing yourself to a point that you are physically hurting yourself, what's the point? Life is not about that. And the second thing, I always think about my sister, who was 39 years old when she lost her life to breast cancer. And, I always just think, like, she would give anything to have the problems that you or any person has living.
Right.
And to be able to see her 3 beautiful daughters grow up to be amazing women. But she doesn't have that opportunity. So when I think a big lesson I take away is just to, sometimes it's as simple as just being grateful for what we have. And I was thinking about when you wrote, I wrote down why. And I think that starts to, that's a process of kind of self-pity. Why is this happening to me? And we can all get into that. But I think maybe this is a good lesson to say, don't let that get out of hand, because it starts to lead to psychosomatic problems. And then you end up with serious problems. And if you can't get your health, you've really got nothing else. So anything you would add to that?
Well, most of the things, Andrew, like you have also said, and I would like to add furthermore, is to all the youth here, especially because I get a lot of youngsters coming to me, and there is an age when everybody's confused. So see, if one door closes, the other opens. So don't just get disappointed, or don't just give up, or don't just get disheartened if certain things are not working the way you want them to work. We humans have an amazing ability which even we don't realize, right? We can really move the rocks, each one of us. It's not that you have to be physically strong. What you need is mental strength. You need to be mentally strong. Eventually it's a mind game. So if you decided on something, you can really do it, right? So just don't get in that self pity mode, and don't just think, oh, this is the end of things, or this is the end of life. No, it's not. Because a lot of youngsters, like day before yesterday, this lady came. She said, oh, I'm 30 and I still haven't chosen the right career path. I said, oh, you're just 30, but for her it was, oh, 30, oh, I become 30, as if the life is ending. So it's not so. So we don't have to catch a train, or we don't have deadlines. It's not that, right?
Yeah.
But
So,
then yes, do take good care of yourself. That is very, very important.
so let's imagine a young woman in your shoes at that time, that she's there right now under the same pressures and all that. So based upon what you learned from this story and what you continue to learn in your life, what's one action that you'd recommend she take to avoid suffering the same fate?
As I said, and I would say again, and I'm sure you all must have heard this also again and again from different people, but then this I is a strong belief, is have faith in your own self. As I said, we humans have immense capacity, immense capability. We can, bring about a lot of changes. And I'm an astrologer, and I say this: a man is a master of his own destiny. We
That's
humans have the power to change our own destiny, nobody else.
Yeah, it's this point when you compare us to other animals out there, the capacity that we have is amazing. Before we continue, you and I were talking briefly about before we turn on the recorder, and you mentioned about World War III, and I thought to myself, let's talk about that on the show. So tell us what you're seeing, and what your observations are as of right now.
Okay, so as you mentioned in my introduction also, and that I'm a researcher, so I have been a part of a lot of researches in astrology as well as in Vastu. So the recent research that we are doing, I have a group of researchers along with me. So we, kind of have a dedicated day where we, study and present our researches and discuss. So the recent research that we're doing is about the World War III. So 2031 and 32 are the 2 years where we can really see something big happening on the lines of what we call as a world war. Now, the research that we are doing, we yet to conclude on that. That is whether this war is going to be a biological war, or is it going to be a war fought with weapons? This decade of 20s, you will see a lot of countries fighting amongst themselves. What we are seeing in Russia and Ukraine, you'll see similar situations, amongst other countries also. So this is a really sensitive time, and a time the world needs all of us to act with wisdom, use our wisdom, be wise and sensible, and not be selfish. So let's each one of us, contribute to the well-being of the planet.
And when you think about your the way you look at astrology and the way you come up with your conclusions, once you have a conclusion like that, can it change? Can a human change the direction and therefore have a different outcome, or is it pretty much destiny?
Absolutely, Andrew, you can change. Like I said, a man is a master of his destiny. See, astrology is a guiding science. No astrologer is God.
Hmm.
What plans God has, God knows, right? And God is within us. We all, in Bhagavad Gita, it says, Aham Brahm Asti, means I am the God. God is within me. I am one with God. So we, have the power to change our own destiny. So as it's a guiding, if I'm going to say, yes, this is going to be the outcome, it's not 100%, oh, it's going to be like this only. If you wish with your efforts, with your karma, you can certainly change the outcomes.
Hmm. About 6 months ago, I write a quarterly strategy report for my clients, and it's a global investment strategy. And I wrote a chapter on what I call World War III, and I said World War III already happened. And
I would not agree completely on this.
well, I have decided to rename it World War 2.5. But
I think that's better.
yeah, but what it is the U.S. on one side, and who is the other side? Well, people may say Russia or China or something like that, but actually, in my opinion, the U.S. just went to war with Europe, and they severed Europe's ties to its supply of gas and oil from Russia, and
Yeah.
they took over their political and military apparatus, and also they've unleashed at various times cultural changes through migrations that have come into Europe that,
Yeah.
right or wrong, cause disruptions. And
Correct.
so now Europe, and why did they need to do that? They needed to do that because I believe that World War III is US and China. And unfortunately, America is on a war path for China. I don't think China is necessarily on a war path for America, but I think America is on a war path for China. So anyways, that's my thought on wars, which makes me sad. And I just want to tell everybody I can to say, we've got to stop this nonsense. So
yeah, very true.
So what's a resource that you'd recommend for our listeners? Something of yours? I know you've got, YouTube, you got Facebook. I mean, where's the best place for people to find you and learn more about you?
Any of these platforms, you can Google search about me. You can check my website. I'm on all the platforms, be it LinkedIn, be it Facebook or Instagram. I've been regularly posting my videos, like the researches, especially which I do.
Yeah,
So I have been regularly posting those videos that what will happen next, what is the outcome, or students who are interested in astrology want to learn more about astrology. So I do keep posting stuff related to that as well. So you can
great.
find me on any of the social media platforms.
And I'll have links to all of that in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen. So you just click on them and you'll be there. Last question. What's your number one goal for the next 12 months?
As I said, my goal is my health.
There it is.
So after we finish, that is, so after we finish this podcast, I have to go for my walk.
Perfect. Perfect.
So that is certainly there. And as since I got into astrology, my goal has always been and it will be guiding people the right way. Because and that is what people come to me also for, is guidance. And my responsibility becomes more that I guide them the right way, that they follow the right path
Beautiful.
and
Well,
make the right investments, huh?
exactly. We may have to talk more about that at another time. Well,
Yes.
listeners, there you have it. Another story of loss to keep you winning. If you haven't yet joined the Become a Better Investor community, just go to myworstinvestmentever.com right now. As we conclude, Ridhi, I want to thank you again for joining our mission. And on behalf of A Stotz Academy, I hereby award you alumni status for turning your worst investment ever into your best teaching moment. Do you have any parting words for the audience?
As I said in the beginning, that's what I'm saying in the end. Have faith in yourself, have trust in yourself, and you can, move the rocks.
Wonderful. And that's a wrap on another great story to help us create, grow, and protect our wealth, fellow risk takers. Let's celebrate that today we added one more person to our mission to help 1 million people reduce risk in their lives. This is your worst podcast host, Andrew Stotz, saying, I'll see you on the upside.